how did you know who to surround yourself with in the aftermath out of all this, and really, really confide in, trust, and grow and go on this journey that got you to where you are now? And how would you recommend that even for other people who are just, let's say people are just stuck in the rut right now and they're like, I can never do anything good ever again in my life.
Yeah.
Everything's bleak. And the people around them probably are thinking and feeling the same way, and they're just feeding off each other in their misery. So how do you turn that ship around?
In my journey, when I was in a mentally and emotionally abusive relationship, when I was married, I remember being around people like my friends and his friends, and they looked at me like I was crazy when I would talk about certain things. And I was like, oh, I don't feel like I belong. So what happened? I contracted, I withheld. So if you feel right now that you are contracting who you are, you don't feel safe expressing yourself, or people are looking at you funny, or you're not speaking up, and potentially you have dis-ease in the body, guaranteed you are suppressing your emotions, you're probably not speaking your truth, and you probably are surrounding yourself with the wrong people. So just like a flower, if it's in the wrong environment, it can't bloom. A gardener, someone who's a master, is like, oh, this flower is wilted because it doesn't belong in this part of the world. Oh, it's not getting enough sunshine. So what works for some people isn't going to work for you. So have enough courage to remove yourself from the environment. When I was married, I was like, obviously I had a lot going on there. I had a lot of trauma and things from childhood that were present. And it wasn't until I started going into new environments and seeking out things that I was curious about that I realized I'm not crazy, which is always nice. There's nothing wrong with me. There are other people out there like me. And I think that's a big piece. So to go to your question on like inner circle and outer circle, I have a whole video blog on this on my YouTube channel if anyone wants to actually go through the process, because it's like a 20-minute video. Is the biggest thing is it's okay that you're learning, because it's okay to trust people who maybe are not trustworthy. It's okay to fall down. It's okay to have betrayal. It's okay to be shocked, because all of those pieces in your journey of relationship are here to teach you what the lessons that you need to learn, number one, and then two, what's important to you. So the foundational piece here, before even going into people outside of you that you attract in your life, is what are your top values? Like, what are they really? Like, really, what are your top values? Most people don't actually know what they are. And a lot of people who do know what they are aren't living in alignment with their values. So my top 3 values are truth. Like, number one, if someone's not honest with me or in integrity, it's an absolute no for inner circle or relationships. Like, no. People who are trying to people please or hold back or aren't going to call me out if something feels off or whatever, if I can't call out, then I don't want them in my inner circle, because for me, my growth, my evolution is everything, and truth is. So if someone doesn't know who they are, then I can't trust them, because if they don't know who they are, then I don't know who they are either. Healing your trauma is like foundational part of waking up to your truth and who you're meant to be in the world. Like, that is foundational. That's my signature program. That's my event. That's a huge portion of the work I support people with, because until we actually deal with those core pieces on a deep level, you're going to continue to play a role that's not fully you, push people away, overreact, not be in reality, and wonder what's going on. So that's unconscious behavior, but it comes from unhealed trauma. So 100%. My second top value is love, living and leading from the heart. And then the third is being in a space of purpose and impact. You become who you surround yourself with. So who are you choosing to be around? Because they're definitely going to influence you. And so within the space of knowing your values, like, are you actually living them? Like, oh, if you value freedom, if you value truth, if you value love, are you actually being that? Or do you find yourself stepping away from it, making exceptions, and letting the wrong people in? And that's a choice. So getting really clear on your top values, your top 3 values, and really challenging yourself, where am I not living this? And is it actually a top value, or am I just telling myself because I think it should be? Because there's shoulds that are put on us from parents, from society, from everywhere, that block us from being who we're meant to be. And then as far as projection goes, projection's an interesting thing. I actually I understand projection, and recently I've understood it on such a deep level from some experiences I've had where someone's saying, you're this. And I'm like, actually, I'm not. Like, I'm so in tune with myself that I'm like, someone the other day said I was being passive aggressive over a text message. And I'm like, I like tuned in with my body.
I hate when a text message, come on.
I was like, I basically just said a direct statement like, hey, like, can you, get in touch with me about this? Because there was a gap in communication with this person for quite some time. And I was just saying, can you please do this for me? That I'd really appreciate it. And like, there was no control or contraction or funky energy in me. And they came back with this big thing about how I this and that and this whole thing. And I responded over voice note. I said, I understand that you can interpret it that way. However, that's a projection. I'm good. And when you're done processing your projection, like, come back to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to take on your responsibility. And this is where we have to be careful, because when you actually have done the inner work of healing your trauma and tuning in with yourself, no one can tell you who you're being because you are so in touch with who you're being. But before you do that, it's impossible to live your truth because you're constantly going from the outside in feedback. Oh, I'm being passive aggressive. Oh, I'm being angry. Oh, I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. I should be more of this. And like, you can take it on. And I did that for years. I always thought whenever anything was going on around me that wasn't good, I have to change. Something's wrong with me. And that can be something that a lot of people do when they haven't healed their trauma. But when you're so in alignment with your truth in your body, you can be like, wow, that person's having a hard day. And they've obviously dealt with probably some people who have been really passive aggressive. And so, I'll tune into them and say, hey, are you taking care of yourself? What's going on? Instead of reacting and being like, oh, like, what's, I'm not this. It's like, no, like, that's not true. You obviously are going through something. Let me know if you need some support. But that's not aligned with my feelings. I was being direct as I'm always direct, right? So having the courage to speak up and share that too. But projection, everyone's projecting all the time, most of the time. So what's true? Tune into you and you'll find out.